Hidden talent revealed. 9 language black girl's incredible skills leave Millionaire speechless. Maya stood behind the counter at her family's diner, the scent of seasoned fries and sizzling burgers swirling around her. Sunlight streamed through the window, casting a golden glow that danced with the shadows of animated conversations and laughter. Her heart swelled with pride as she served the regulars, people who became family, giving the diner a pulse. But beyond the bustling kitchen, her mind raced with hopes of attending a prestigious language school that felt like a distant star. On this particular sunny afternoon, Mr. Thompson walked in. He was clad in an expensive suit, a stark contrast to the colorful, worn walls adorned with photos of her grandmother, the community's heart and soul. Most people whispered about him, some claiming he was here trying to save the neighborhood. Maya felt a spark ignite. She was ready to make him see beyond the surface. "Welcome, sir. What can I get you?" she chirped, her energy infectious. But he barely looked her way, his eyes scanning the diner with a hint of skepticism. "Just coffee," he replied, dismissing her with a flick of his wrist. She shrugged it off. She was used to that kind of indifference. But it fueled her determination to shine. Then fate struck. A group of foreign dignitaries descended upon the diner, their laughter and animated gestures filling the air. Mr. Thompson shifted, unease coloring his face as they approached. Maya felt a pull, a spark of something she had been waiting for. "Let me help," she declared, stepping forward. They responded in their native tongues, and to everyone's shock, Maya effortlessly switched between languages, translating praises and stories of their cultures with precision. Gasps echoed in the diner. The weight of surprise hung thick in the air. Even Mr. Thompson stood speechless, eyes wide as he began to understand not just that this girl had an extraordinary gift, but that he had fallen prey to prejudice against a child in a humble diner. Despite the hesitant admiration around her, Maya felt the shadow of doubt creep in. How could her talents be accepted in a world that seemed to equate success to privilege? Before the reverberations of her performance could fully settle, news hit. The lucrative contract Mr. Thompson had promised for community development went to a classmate of Maya's, someone from that affluent neighborhood across town. A gut punch. Maya's heart plummeted, disappointment wrapping around her like a heavy cloak. This felt like a betrayal, an echo of the biases she fought against. She stepped away from the crowd, her chest tightening as tears dared to spill. Yet, through the haze, a flame flickered within her. "I won't let this be the end," she vowed, grasping the counter for strength. Returning to her family diner, she brushed away her tears. Surrounded by the community who rallied around her, she knew this wasn't just about her anymore. It became a quest to challenge perceptions, to elevate others with her, not just herself. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube is making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let us continue. As she organized meetings and language exchange events, her resolve grew stronger. Now, every moment was charged with a different energy. Each person she met filled her heart with hope, stories that inspired her changed perceptions. Yet, fear loomed over her. Could a girl like her triumph when the world so often stacked the deck against dreamers? And amidst all this, one question echoed louder each day. Would those biases ever allow her shining talent to truly be recognized? A week passed, and the diner's neon sign flickered to life at dusk. Inside, laughter filled the air, but Maya's spirit felt heavy. She loved her community, but the recent blow churned inside her like a storm. Even amidst the laughter, she glanced around, searching for the next spark, the next chance to prove herself. That evening after closing, as she swept the floors, the heavy silence pressed down on her. She threw herself into work, stacking chairs and wiping down tables, but no amount of physical labor could drown out the nagging doubt. Her dreams seemed as distant as the stars she often stared at, trying to decipher their meaning. "Am I just dreaming?" she whispered to herself. Just then, the bell above the diner door jingled. Maya turned, her heart racing, hopeful to see a familiar face. Instead, it was Mr. Thompson, standing outside, looking as uncertain as she felt. "Can I come in?" he asked, voice low. Maya hesitated, but there was an earnestness in his eyes. "Sure," she replied, setting aside the broom. He stepped in, his expensive shoes muffled on the worn-out tiles. The warmth of the diner contrasted sharply with his cool exterior. "I came to apologize," he said, rubbing the back of his neck, looking uncomfortable. "What you did the other day, it was impressive. I didn't realize how much talent exists in this community." Maya couldn't help but feel a flicker of hope. "Thank you, but you didn't have to come here. You already gave that contract to someone else." He took a deep breath. "True, but I need a translator for a conference next month, high profile. I'm planning to represent this neighborhood, and I want you on my team." Her heart skipped a beat. "Me? But what if I can't do it?" "You can," he insisted. "You proved that in the diner. I didn't see it before, but now I do. Your skills could change the game for everyone here. You can help shape their stories." Maya's cheeks flushed, overwhelmed by the thought of this opportunity. But what about the biases? The ghosts of doubt crept back, and vulnerability fluttered in her chest. "I won't let that happen," he assured her. "We'll do this together. Teach me how to see what's really here, and we'll show everyone else." His words ignited a fire in Maya, a blend of fear and exhilaration bubbling to the surface. Maybe this was what she needed, a chance to speak not just for herself, but for her community, too. "What do you need me to do?" she asked, her voice wavering with promise. "Just be you," he replied, a smile breaking through his previously stern demeanor. "We'll work together to prepare, and I'll make sure you have a voice at that conference." Maya's heart raced as the possibilities ran wild in her mind. An opportunity like this could change everything. But as excitement curdled with apprehension, the gravity of the responsibility weighed heavily on her. "Okay, but I have to make it count," she said, determination hardening her resolve. "Together, we'll make it count," he promised. With that, a new chapter began. The thought of stepping into the spotlight felt daunting, filled with both hope and fear. What would it take to truly break through? Little did Maya know, the upcoming conference would present challenges she never expected, pushing her to confront not only societal biases, but also her inner fears. Would she be able to rise to the occasion? Would her voice finally reach beyond the walls of the diner? Only time would tell. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the diner the next evening. Maya stood at the counter, her pulse thumping as she prepared for what felt like a leap into the unknown. The bright fluorescent lights buzzed above her, but their brightness did little to illuminate the anxious thoughts swirling in her mind. She replayed Mr. Thompson's words over and over. "Just be you." But what did that truly mean? Could she really bring her authenticity to a high-profile conference filled with sharp suits and polished elegance? The weight of her insecurities pressed heavily on her chest. As she cleaned and organized her space, Megan, one of the waitresses, bounced up to her with her usual bubbly energy. "Hey, Maya, you look like you're carrying the weight of the world. What's going on?" Maya forced a smile, trying to brush off her worries with a wave. "Just thinking about the conference, I guess." Megan leaned against the counter, her eyes shining with curiosity. "This is exciting, though. You have a chance to shine, girl. It's like a movie moment." "Yeah, if only I felt like the star," Maya murmured. The bell jingled again as the door swung open, bringing in a rush of cool evening air and a figure she recognized instantly. Mr. Thompson strode in, his presence weaving into the fabric of the diner like an unexpected but welcome melody. He was dressed casually, but radiated an air of purpose. "Maya," he called, waving her over. She glanced back at Megan, whose silent encouragement pushed her to walk forward. "Hey, what is up?" she asked, trying to sound less rattled than she felt. "I wanted to check in on our plans. I've been gathering materials for the conference, and I'd love to go over them with you tonight." "Tonight?" Maya's heart raced. "But it's a busy time." He grinned, infectious confidence surrounding him like an invisible shield. "Trust me, it'll be worth it. I want to illustrate our vision for the community together. Let me show you what I have in mind." With a deep breath, Maya nodded. "All right, let us do this." They moved to a booth in the back, away from the hustle and bustle. Mr. Thompson spread out papers detailing the conference agenda, notes on community highlights, and the profiles of key speakers. Watching him discuss the ambition behind his vision stirred something in Maya, a determination she didn't know she possessed. As he spoke, she found herself coming alive. What if we use local stories? Capture the essence of our community through personal experiences? She suggested, her voice gaining strength. Exactly. Those stories are powerful. They can paint a picture nobody can ignore, he replied excitedly. Maya began to feel the wall of doubt shrinking. The more they talked, the clearer her own thoughts became. She sketched ideas, casting aside her fear, and soon the booth became a hub of inspiration, littered with possibility. Suddenly, her enthusiasm soared. When I speak, I want to weave in how our community has nurtured me, she proclaimed. I want the audience to feel it, to connect with us. As they worked, laughter intermingled with brainstorming. With each suggestion, Maya saw a glimpse of her potential emerging from the shadows. She felt a wave of warmth spread through her. This was what she had been longing for, to be a voice representing her people. Just imagine all those faces. Maya, you have the power to inspire them, Mr. Thompson said, his eyes sparkling with belief. Suddenly, doubt crept in again. But what if I fail? She whispered, the weight of responsibility creeping back. Mr. Thompson leaned forward, sincerity etched in his expression. Then you learn and grow. But you can't let fear take the stage before you even step up. Maya bit her lip, feeling the swell of vulnerability. Fear and excitement intertwined. The idea of risking everything was terrifying yet exhilarating. Maybe this was her moment. Maybe here, surrounded by her community, she was exactly where she was meant to be. All right, she said, a gentle smile tugging at her lips. Let us make this happen. As they wrapped up for the night, the atmosphere buzzed with an electric undercurrent of hope. Maya felt renewed purpose course through her, but darkness loomed ahead like a storm cloud ready to break. What challenges lay in wait for her? Would she find the strength to face them? And, more importantly, would the world be ready to hear her voice? With those thoughts lingering in her mind, her resolve deepened. The conference was just around the corner. As the diner emptied, Maya and Mr. Thompson stayed at their booth, papers strewn all around them like fallen leaves, vibrant and alive with ideas. The fluorescent lights became a soft, familiar glow as they sat together, discussing her vision with fervor. Each word exchanged filled the space with a warmth that seemed to wash away Maya's doubts. But beneath the excitement, a persistent hum of anxiety remained. Her thoughts drifted to the conference. Just days away now, the anticipation felt both thrilling and terrifying. She could almost hear the murmur of the crowd, see the bright lights, and feel the weight of the microphone in her hand. Maya, do you think you'll incorporate your story? Mr. Thompson's voice broke through her reverie. He leaned forward, his eyes fixed on her, willing her to embrace her truth. She hesitated. A rush of memories flooded her: childhood laughter, struggles in school, the solidarity of her community. But what if I stumble? What if my voice shakes? The words escaped her more rapidly than she expected. Every great story needs a little vulnerability, he encouraged gently, resting his hand over hers for a moment. That's where your connection to the audience will truly spark. Maya smiled faintly, feeling the warmth of his reassurance. What if he was right? What if sharing her truths could resonate with others, opening doors she never knew existed? We're not just showcasing a conference, Maya, he continued, excitement igniting his voice. We're lighting a spark that can transform lives. Yours included. The words hung in the air, and something deep inside Maya stirred. Could her experience inspire others? Would sharing her journey encourage someone fighting their own battles? More confident, she pushed her hair back and let her imagination wander. Maybe I could talk about how the diner has been a second home for me, how each customer has left a mark on my life. She mused, her heart racing with the rhythm of possibility. Each plate served is like a story shared. Exactly. He beamed, as if she had just found the key to unlock a hidden door. See how that feels? They need to hear that. The spark ignited a flame. They bounced ideas back and forth, drawing out the heart of Maya's story and mapping it onto page after page. Laughter danced between them like fireflies on a warm summer night, filling the space with hope. Yet, the clock ticked loudly behind the counter, pulling Maya back to the gravity of reality. The excitement felt hollow against her fears, like a beautiful song swallowed up by silence. As they finally wrapped up for the night, Maya weighed the vibrant thoughts in her mind with the dull ache of apprehension. Can I truly do this? She whispered. Listen, Mr. Thompson said, standing to leave. You already are. You show up every day, serving strength to your community. That's your foundation. Just build on it. Overwhelmed, Maya felt tears prick her eyes. This wasn't just about the conference anymore. It was about capturing the spirit of everyone she loved, everyone who believed in her. As she stared out the diner window, the night air, filled with the scent of rain-soaked asphalt, tingled against her skin. I'll do it, she vowed quietly, the words resonating in her heart like a drumbeat. But just as confidence began to bloom, a gnawing doubt whispered again, was she truly ready for the stage, for the spotlight? It was late, and the streets outside began to clear. Feeling a wave of shyness, Maya turned to Mr. Thompson. What if the night of the conference doesn't go as planned? The only thing we can guarantee is uncertainty, he replied gently. What happens after is part of your journey. Maya embraced his words, but her heart still raced with nervous energy. What awaited her in the days leading up to the big conference? Would she tap into the courage hiding in the shadows of her heart? She could almost see the stage lights flickering in her mind, and suddenly, the question became more pressing: how would she transform fear into purpose when the moment finally arrived? The days felt like a whirlwind, spinning faster as the conference approached. Maya found herself shuttling between her regular shifts at the diner and hours spent preparing her speech. Each moment brought a jolt of excitement, but those waves soon crashed into the rocky shores of doubt. Her mornings were filled with notes scrawled on napkins and half-finished ideas peppering the tables. Customers came and went, each interaction a small thread weaving her community tighter. Mrs. Henderson, with her persistent smile, always complimented her cooking and encouraged her with stories of her own failures and triumphs. Maya, it's those moments that shape you, she'd say, her hands wrapped tightly around a steaming cup of coffee. Don't hide your light. Those words echoed in the back of Maya's mind as she practiced her speech alone in the kitchen after hours. She'd stand in front of the mirror, the fluorescent light buzzing softly overhead, and glance at her reflection, searching for the confidence that felt just out of reach. Each time she spoke, her voice grew slightly steadier, but the fear never fully vanished. What if she faltered? What if she forgot everything? On the eve of the conference, Maya found herself pacing the diner. The night was still, too quiet for her racing thoughts. The familiar smells wrapped around her like a comforting blanket, but the weight in her chest felt heavier. She filled her mind with memories: her mother cheering from the sidelines during school plays, the laughter of friends gathered at the tables when the diner was bustling, the warmth of arms wrapped around her after a hard day. Why do I feel so scared? She whispered to herself as she folded napkins into perfect triangles, seeking comfort in the routine. The ding of the bell above the door pulled her from her thoughts. It was Mr. Thompson. His smile crossed the dim light of the diner, a beacon of reassurance. Penny for your thoughts? He asked, sliding into one of the booths with a steaming cup of coffee. I don't know if I can do this, Maya confessed, her heart pounding beneath the weight of her uncertainty. She glanced out the window, the streetlights casting soft pools of light on the bare pavement. What if nobody connects with my story? What if they don't see me? Mr. Thompson leaned back, observing her with gentle intensity. Maya, your story is yours alone. You may not realize this, but everyone else is dealing with their own versions of what you're feeling. By being genuine, you invite others to be vulnerable too. His words pricked a spark deep within her. But what if I stumble? She asked, a tremor in her voice. Then you get back up and keep moving. That is part of it, he replied simply. Fall 7 times, stand up 8, right? Maya let out a slow breath. She hadn't looked at it that way before. Each stumble didn't have to be a failure. It could be a lesson. Maybe the audience would resonate with her imperfect journey, not just her polished speech. She clasped her hands together tightly and offered him a small smile. You always know what to say. Just speaking truths, Maya, he said with a wink. Now why don't we work together to refine that speech? I'll be your audience. So, in the cozy corner of the diner, Maya found herself pouring out her thoughts into words. With each phrase, she felt the weight shift from anxiety to determination. The more she spoke, the more her passion ignited, brighter and stronger. When the clock struck midnight, she felt different, almost reborn. The worries still lingered, but now they mingled with a fierce resolve. She could do this as she prepared to leave the diner that night. Mr. Thompson's words echoed once more. Suddenly, she remembered her mom's encouragement, the pride in her community's eyes. These were the voices she needed to carry with her. Stepping into the crisp air, she caught sight of the flickering neon diner sign and thought of all the stories waiting to be shared. What awaited her on the night when her story would finally take flight? Would she embrace the vulnerability that opened doors she never thought to walk through? As the dawn broke, its soft light painting the streets, Maya couldn't shake the feeling something extraordinary was about to happen. As the sun began to rise, golden beams of light spilled into the diner. Maya stood outside, taking a moment to breathe in the crisp morning air. The world was waking up around her, and with it came the thrill and fear of what lay ahead. Today was the conference, the day she had prepared for amidst bouts of doubt and hope. She grabbed her notebook, nervously flipping through pages filled with her thoughts, each one a building block toward what she would share. The diner was quiet, save for the faint hum of street sounds, and she felt a tightening in her chest. Today wasn't just about her speech. It was about her story, her truth unraveled in front of strangers. As she stepped inside, the familiar aroma of coffee blended with the sweetness of freshly baked pastries wrapped around her like a comforting embrace. "Maya, you came in early." Mrs. Henderson greeted her, her voice warm as the first rays of sunlight. "Just gathering my thoughts," Maya replied, forcing a smile. She moved behind the counter, trying to engage in the routine she loved, but her mind was racing. "What is on your mind?" Mrs. Henderson asked, pouring a perfect cup of coffee and placing it in front of Maya. "It's today, you know." "The conference," Maya said, her voice barely above a whisper. "You've got this, dear," Mrs. Henderson said, her eyes sparkling. "Remember what I told you. It's your story, and it's worth sharing." Maya nodded, feeling the warmth of her encouragement. Still, insecurities bubbled beneath her surface. What if she forgot her words? What if no one connected with her? She busied herself with the coffee machine, steam rising like her swirling thoughts. As the clock ticked toward noon, Maya's heart raced. The message of her story spiraled through her mind. The challenges of growing up, the shadows of doubt, but also the bright flashes of hope and resilience. She envisioned the audience, faces that might mirror her own fears and victories. With each passing customer, she watched people share their stories, laughter lighting up their faces. Maybe Mrs. Henderson was right. Maybe connecting was the true essence of her speech. By the time she changed out of her uniform and into something more polished, self-doubt clung to her like a shadow. What if she started to think, but stopped herself? She could not afford to focus on the what-ifs. The drive to the conference center felt surreal. The city whirled past her window, yet time moved sluggishly. Maya shook her hands, trying to loosen the knots of anxiety in her stomach. She practiced her opening line softly. "What shaped me? It's the little things." Arriving at the venue, she stepped inside, the ambience buzzing with anticipation. Tables were set up, each pulsing with energy from the participants. Yet, it felt vast and overwhelming. She took a deep breath, forcing down a wave of apprehension that threatened to rise up again. Maya spotted a few familiar faces and began to approach a group. Mrs. Henderson had been right. Everyone was here for a reason. Everyone had a story bubbling beneath the surface, waiting to be shared. She exchanged smiles, her heart racing. Mr. Thompson's words "be genuine" echoed in her mind. As she stood in the corner surrounded by peers, she couldn't ignore the fluttering in her stomach. This was it. She was about to step onto that stage, to peel back the layers and reveal her heart. The moderator stepped up to the mic, voice clear against the backdrop of bustling conversation. "Next up, we have a speaker who knows the power of authenticity," they announced. Maya's breath hitched in her throat, but just then, a thought struck her hard. What if she spoke not just to share, but to connect? What if her fear could transform into a force for change? With renewed resolve, Maya took one last breath, her heartbeat syncing with the hum of the room. She stepped forward, ready to embrace it all. What new heights awaited her in this moment? Would her story resonate in ways she never imagined? As Maya stepped onto the stage, the spotlight felt both warm and blinding. Her heart pounded in her chest, a powerful reminder of what was at stake. They were all looking at her, strangers with wide eyes, waiting for her words to unfold. Silence enveloped the room, and for a moment, time itself seemed to hold its breath. She paused, allowing herself a deep, steadying breath. The aroma of coffee still clung to her clothes, a small comfort she hoped would follow her. What shaped me? It's the little things, she began, her voice trembling but sincere. Right away, she felt the energy shift. Faces in the audience softened, nodding as if they understood. Her story was rooted in experiences that everyone could relate to: the struggle of belonging, the ache of loneliness, and the small triumphs that make life beautiful. She spoke of her childhood, the simple joys that had stirred something deep within her, igniting a fire to chase her dreams. My family moved a lot when I was young, she continued, her hands animatedly illustrating her journey. Every new school brought fresh faces and whispered labels. I was that shy girl, too often caught between fitting in and standing out. Maya found strength in her vulnerability, letting the honesty pour from her heart. As she shared stumbling blocks like prejudice and doubt, she also highlighted the brighter moments, the ones that shaped her resilience, like the day she discovered her love for storytelling. With each word, the audience became more engaged, leaning closer, faces filled with understanding and empathy. What I learned, she said, her voice gaining strength, is that our stories connect us. The more we share, the more we see the threads that weave us together. Maya could feel the emotional current pulsating in the room. A few tears glistened in eyes around her, sparking an unspoken bond she hadn't anticipated. Inspired, she decided to take it a step further. But she paused, letting the weight of her word linger. What happens when we hide our true selves? When we are silent out of fear? In that moment, she opened up about her worries of abandonment and being seen as different, but how she learned to embrace those differences as her greatest strengths. I'm not just Maya, the girl with 1,000 fears, she said, her tone assertive and clear. I'm a storyteller, a dreamer, and like many of you in this room, I'm a survivor. The audience erupted into applause. She could see their faces lighting up, a collective spark ignited by her story. A surge of adrenaline coursed through her, replacing any remaining fear. She was connecting. She was speaking not just to them, but through them, and their shared humanity. As she finished, basking in the warmth of their response, something incredible happened. A familiar face appeared in the crowd. It was Mr. Thompson, beaming with pride. You did it, Maya. He cheered as he stood up, clapping harder than anyone else. She smiled, her heart swelling with gratitude and joy. Then, as if the moment couldn't get any better, a woman in the front row raised her hand. Can you tell us how you found the courage to embrace your truth? She asked, her voice cutting through the celebratory atmosphere. Maya hesitated, a wave of emotion washing over her. This moment was an invitation to dive deeper into her journey, to share the core of her transformation. She nodded, ready to reveal even more of herself, to take the audience further into her world. What had once seemed daunting now felt exhilarating. But just as she prepared to delve into her answer, she noticed someone at the back of the room, a frown on their face. What had they seen or felt that disturbed them? The thought spiraled in her mind, pulling her focus momentarily. Would her story resonate with that person, or would it turn them away? What would she uncover next, as she followed the thread of this unexpected connection? The room buzzed with hushed whispers as Maya scanned the crowd. Her heart raced, not from her previous triumph, but from the weight of that frown pulling her gaze. She swallowed hard, feeling a new depth of vulnerability wash over her. Sometimes, when you step into the light, shadows move with you, she thought, reminding herself. The woman in the front row, who had posed such a poignant question, waited expectantly. But it was the figure at the back, a man with crossed arms, eyes not just skeptical, but almost angry, that gnawed at her. Why do you care what he thinks? She whispered to herself. Yet curiosity burned bright. Gathering herself, she glanced back at the audience. Finding courage isn't a linear path. It's more of an undulating wave, she started, forcing her voice to steady. For me, it was about the raw moments, those nights lying in bed, feeling my heart break, and realizing I had two choices, to drown in despair or to let my pain guide me. She felt the crowd leaning in, their breaths collectively held, as if they were all on the same wild ride with her. But it wasn't always that easy, she continued, a familiar flush creeping up her cheeks. There were times I felt utterly alone, like I was shouting into an empty void. I wrote about my experiences, pouring out my fears onto pages that could hold my secrets. Until one day, I realized those stories weren't just mine, they belonged to everyone experiencing the same struggle. She spotted Mr. Thompson nodding, eyes glistening. It gave her courage. Every time I clicked the send button, every time I shared an excerpt, I saw glimpses of hope reflected back, not from just my friends or family, but from anyone who dared to read and connect. Her chest swelled with pride at her journey, and the applause began to trickle back in, echoing warmly against the walls. Yet still, something tugged at her heart. What if this man at the back doesn't get it? What if he rejects it? A quick glance back revealed no change. She held onto his gaze, refusing to look away. And it was in one of my darkest moments, one I thought I could never rise from, that I found my voice. She pushed on, her voice firm with intent. What I learned is that on the other side of fear lies your truth. My truth, a mix of laughter and tears, pain and joy. I began to see my life as a mosaic, each piece telling a unique story, imperfect yet beautiful. The crowd erupted with applause again, this time louder, more insistent. But her eyes remained locked on the man. She was intensely aware of the burning question hanging between them, a challenge she felt compelled to accept. What if? She began, her voice lowering almost conspiratorially. What if embracing who you truly are is your greatest superpower? She let the words settle, pausing purposefully, as if inviting him to find his own truth in hers. The room felt alive, charged with an energy she had never experienced before. But it wasn't about her anymore. She craved a connection with the man across the room. She needed him to understand. Suddenly, he unfolded his arms. The frown on his face softened, and curiosity flickered in his eyes. Had she struck a chord? Maya felt hope blooming in her chest. With renewed determination, she concluded, every time we speak our truth, we challenge others to do the same. And that gives us the chance to change not just our lives, but the lives of those around us. The applause washed over her once again, waves of appreciation that mixed with newfound resolve. But it was the man's expression shifting like a light turning on that filled her with longing. What could he share if he felt safe enough to release his own story? As she stepped back, the audience still celebrating, the urge to know more about him was pounding in her chest. Maybe, she thought, just maybe, his truth could be the key to her next chapter. Maya's heart raced as the applause faded, leaving an eager silence in the air. The room still buzzed with excitement, yet her focus was entirely on him, the man who had shifted from skepticism to intrigue in mere moments. She couldn't shake the feeling that, like her, he held a story waiting to erupt. The warmth of the audience's recognition felt like a blanket wrapped around her shoulders, but it was the cold edge of uncertainty in the man's expression that gripped her with an intensity she hadn't anticipated. Her fingers fidgeted nervously at her side. What if he was still holding onto some unspoken truth? What if there was more to him than just those crossed arms and furrowed brow? Maybe I can reach him, she thought, ignoring the internal voice cautioning her to back off. She needed to try. The crowd began to disperse. She took a few tentative steps in his direction. Each step felt heavy, charged with a mix of hope and fear as she drew closer. Others mingled and chatted, but it felt as if the world had narrowed down to just the two of them. "Hi," she said softly, trying to gauge his reaction. His gaze locked onto hers, and she felt her breath hitch in the moment. "You had some strong thoughts during my talk. I'd love to hear your perspective." A flicker of surprise crossed his face. He opened his mouth, as if to speak, then closed it again, unsure. She could see layers of emotions swirling behind his eyes. Maybe it was anger. Maybe it was fear. Or perhaps it was something deeper, something she might recognize as her own struggles. He started, dragging a hand through his hair as he exhaled. "I don't understand how sharing your pain helps anyone." Maya nodded, digesting his words. "It feels raw and vulnerable, right? But sharing our stories can weave threads of connection. It lets others know they're not alone." His gaze softened a fraction, and she pressed on. "I felt what you might be feeling, like I was drowning in my own despair. But opening up was like discovering a lifeline. What if your experiences could touch someone else's heart the way mine did?" He didn't respond immediately, and the silence hung like a taut string between them. Every moment felt loaded with potential. She sensed he was wavering on the edge of something profound. But what if my truth only makes things worse? He finally confessed, almost breathlessly. What if I can't live up to that? What if people just see me as a disappointment? Maya's heart ached at his vulnerability. You won't know unless you try, she urged, her voice steady. We're all just trying our best. No one out there is perfect, least of all me. She felt an electric jolt of connection forming as the truth hung between them, raw, honest, laden with the weight of their shared humanity. He looked at her, and for a moment it was as if the rest of the world faded away. You really believe that? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper, searching her eyes for sincerity. I do, Maya replied earnestly. I believe we have the power to rewrite our stories. It just takes a leap of faith. The man's expression shifted as if a dam had broken. Maybe I could try, he muttered, almost incredulously. Hope sparked at his words, igniting something deep within her. Let us start there, she said, a smile breaking free. But just at that moment, they were interrupted by a raucous laugh from a nearby group, pulling him momentarily away from their conversation. Maya's heart sank slightly, and she stepped back, afraid the connection was slipping away. Wait, she called impulsively, catching his attention again. You don't know how much that means to hear you say that. If you're willing, I'd love to hear your story. When we give our truths space, they can transform us. As his gaze lingered on her, she wondered if he would choose to step forward into the light. Would he let go of the shadows that had held him captive? Just then, a familiar voice from the back called out Maya's name, breaking the spell and urging her to turn. Are you ready for the next step? It asked, and she felt the weight of possibilities swirling around her. She turned back, but the man had drifted away into the crowd, a flicker of hesitation still clouding his eyes. Maya felt a tightness in her chest. Could he truly step into the light? Or would he remain shrouded in his own shadows? Her heart was still racing. There was so much more she wanted to know, so many more questions that lingered in the air. What if they could uncover the stories haunting each other? As curiosity surged within her, Maya felt a new mission taking shape. She wouldn't let this moment slip away. And just like that, she knew she had to find him again before it was too late. The night sky unfolded above the diner, brilliant with stars just beginning to twinkle, mirroring the excitement roaring in Maya's heart. Today had been a whirlwind, a moment etched into her journey forever. The echoes of applause still rang in her ears, and a wave of gratitude washed over her. She had shared her story, she had embraced vulnerability. But as she stood outside, breathing in the sweet summer air, her mind drifted back to the man at the conference, the one who had seemed so lost. What if he were still wrestling with his truth? Hey Maya, you okay? Megan's voice broke through her thoughts, shaking her back to the present. Yeah, just thinking, she smiled back, but her heart was distant. You were incredible out there. It was like the whole room lit up when you spoke. Megan beamed, her eyes sparkling with pride. Thanks. But Maya hesitated, her thoughts tangled. I met someone today. I feel like I can't leave it just a great speech. There's more I need to do. Megan tilted her head curiously. What do you mean? There's a guy who needs to hear to feel what I felt. I could see it in his eyes. I think he might be struggling to find his voice. You're gonna help him? I want to. I just don't know how. Megan nodded. A knowing smile spread across her face. You've done it once, you can do it again. Just be yourself, like you said on that stage. A spark ignited in Maya's heart. You're right. She could do this. She had taken a leap to share her truth. Now it was time to extend that courage to someone else. I'm going to find him, she declared, determination bubbling to the surface. The familiar sound of the diner's bell jingled as she rushed inside. Where did he go? She wondered aloud, scanning the room. Her eyes flicked from table to table, grasping for a fleeting glimpse of the man she had connected with. But he was gone. A tinge of disappointment washed over her, but she quickly shook it off. She wouldn't let this opportunity slip through her fingers. Gathering her thoughts, she remembered his face, how his arms had crossed defensively, yet how they had slowly uncovered in openness. Just then, Mrs. Henderson passed her, a knowing twinkle in her eye. It's okay to chase after what's important, dear. Go out there, and don't let fear stand in your way. You've got a light, let it shine. Maya took her words to heart. You're right. It's not just about me. It's about helping others find their courage too. She rushed back out into the thrumming streets alive with the night's atmosphere, her heart guiding her feet. Where might he have gone? She envisioned the conference center and the nearby park. It was possible he might have wandered there. Lost in thought, yes, she dashed past people laughing and enjoying the warm evening. She whispered, "Come on, please let me find him." Moments later, there he was, sitting on a bench, shoulders hunched and head bowed. The weight of the world seemed to rest heavy on him. Maya's heart raced as she approached, but she drew in a breath of courage, determined to speak her truth again. "Hi, it's me, Maya." Her voice cut through the evening air, laden with hope. He looked up, surprise washing over his features. "Maya, I didn't expect to see you here. I had to come find you. After what you said, I wanted to know more," she urged, sincerity flooding her words. "I think you have a story to share too. It could mean so much to others." He shifted slightly, a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. "But what if my story isn't important? Trust me, every story is important. I felt lost for so long, believing I had to hide and fit into what others expected. But when I found the courage to speak my truth, it changed everything for me. It made me stronger and helped me connect with the people around me." Their eyes locked, and Maya could see the battle he was fighting. "What if no one cares what I have to say?" he muttered, vulnerability cracking through his tough exterior. "I used to think that, too," she replied softly, taking a step closer. "But the reality is, sharing our truth might just help someone else realize they're not alone in what they're feeling. You may never know who might need to hear it." "I don't know," he murmured, his uncertainty hanging thick in the air. "I'm not asking you to do it alone," Maya continued, her heart thrumming with urgency. "We can take the leap together. Sharing doesn't mean being flawless, it means being real. And I'll be right there cheering you on, just like today." As the streetlights dimmed, casting a warm, inviting glow around them, he opened up. "I feel so stifled at work. I'm scared of what people might think if I speak out. I don't want to go against the current. Sometimes, the current leads us to a place we never wanted to go. But standing still isn't any better. What if this is the moment for you?" His brow furrowed, but she could see a flicker of intrigue in his eyes. "You really believe I can?" "I know you can," she said firmly. "You have a spark, just like I did. You can inspire others, it's within you." He inhaled deeply, his defenses slowly crumbling beneath her unwavering conviction. Maybe I will try." Maya's heart soared, and she felt herself tear up, tears of joy spilling down her cheeks. "Yes," she exclaimed, but quickly caught herself. "Take your time, it's a journey." With newfound hope igniting their exchange, they spent the next hour sharing stories, fears, laughter, and the warmth of connection. With each word spoken, Maya watched the burdens lift from his shoulders, and she realized this was not just about him anymore, it was about them. As the night deepened, Maya knew in her heart, this was the beginning of something beautiful. Together they would stand tall, finding strength in each other as truths, illuminating their paths toward a brighter future. She secured his hand briefly, ensuring he understood the significance of this moment, and he smiled back, a quiet promise of what was to come. Amid the bright stars above, Maya felt life radiating all around her, a symphony of stories waiting to be told, connections waiting to be made. They had begun to break free from the shadows, onto a road filled with possibilities, and together, the light seemed unstoppable, just like their newfound friendship. Now was the time to fly, to let their voices rise together. And with that, Maya squeezed his hand. "Never underestimate the power of your voice," she whispered, her heart full, ready for whatever lay ahead. So, what is your story going to be? If you love this final chapter, you need to subscribe now. Don't miss out on more incredible journeys that can touch your heart. Go ahead and leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help more people discover these stories. And be sure to comment below your feelings about this ending. I want to know how it made you feel. Finally, share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share the power of connection. Your support means everything.